pay attention to Bitcoin because we're about to get the last chance before the explosion. As you can see, throughout today we've been dropping from the $123,000 area, which we already expected because there was a futures gap below. Let's take a look at the liquidations, see how that gap is currently looking, whether it's likely we'll close it today or tomorrow, and we'll check out a bunch of other important things, especially regarding altcoins, which are really, really strong right now, showing more strength than ever and continuing to rise. So let's jump straight into today's crypto news. And today, the KCGI has finally come to an end. That's right, the KCGI spam from CryptoBlog is finally over. We won. If you take a look, as a team we're ranked number 1, we finished as the top team worldwide. And check this out. Individually, among the top 10 people who made the most profit, we have 3 from our team, Alexander CS in 2nd place, myself CryptoBlog in 3rd, and Soy Verde, Soy Feliz in 9th. I mean, what we've done is just insane. I'll make a dedicated video, and actually, on the 14th, I'm going to be interviewed on the BitGet channel because we absolutely crushed the KCGI and literally made history, so I'll be there. The only thing is, the interview will be in English, but hey, that's how it is. So, well, that's it. No more spam, the KCGI is over, we won, and everyone on the team made quite a bit of money. Things went really well for us, and you know there will be more next year, so stay tuned for when the time comes. So let's get right into the economic calendar. Today, we've had some important macroeconomic news that has caused prices to move. Basically, we've had CPI news. We already mentioned yesterday that this figure was very important. And pay attention because the inflation data came out better than expected. We were coming from 2.7% inflation, it was expected to rise to 2.8%, and it came out at 2.7%. In the end, the market took this very well, and we'll see it on the chart, right? Right at 2:30, when that data was released, Bitcoin went up by more than $1,000 in about 5 minutes. So, well, it's a very good number for the market. Even so, we can't be sure there won't be more drops, especially because we have the gap. Today was the perfect excuse to close the gap with that data, and it didn't happen. So, if it didn't happen today, be careful. It might happen tomorrow or the day after, which is the most likely scenario. So, well, those are the numbers we had today, right? What do we have for tomorrow? Well, honestly, nothing. Spain's CPI, nobody cares about Spain's CPI. And oil inventories, which we don't care about either, since we're here for crypto. So let's go straight to trading different. And what are we seeing with trading different? Well, honestly, we're not seeing much, so we won't spend too much time on this. The important thing here is that there are still liquidations left around the $122,000 to $123,000 area, and there aren't many liquidations nearby. Although, it's true that if we zoom in a bit and move away from these liquidations here, we can see a significant, or relatively significant liquidation zone around $118,000, but especially around $115,000. I don't know if we're going to drop as low as $115,000, but well, there's a bit around the $118,000 area. Then, there's also the $116,100 area, which kind of matches that futures gap we already talked about, and the $115,000 as well. In any case, I don't know if we'll actually drop as low as $115,000 because, like I said, it seems like a lot of liquidations, but it's really not that many. It's just that we're zoomed in on the chart, okay? Honestly, if you compare it to what's over here, this right here is absolutely nothing. So, it all depends on how things develop in the coming days. For now, there have been a few liquidations forming below, but not that many either. And what we can also see here, look, is that more and more liquidations are piling up above. It's what we were already talking about. The fact that if Bitcoin dropped, more liquidations would form above. For me, we're still missing one more move down, maybe to liquidate this little area here, which is very small, but mainly to create even more liquidations here, and then go on to attack the key all-time high zone. This is what I think is the most likely scenario we could expect. So, well, that's it for liquidations, and now let's go straight to today's Bitcoin analysis. So, how is Bitcoin doing today? Well, take a look at the daily chart. Careful, because today there's a chance that if Bitcoin closes above $120,000, we could have the highest daily close in history. So we're very close to the highest daily close ever. In any case, be very careful with what I'm telling you about the futures gap. We don't want to leave a gap open for a week, because you already know what happens then. Bitcoin ends up dropping like what happened to us at $114,000 when we had that gap. We talked about it for 2 weeks and boom, it ended up dropping. Okay? So what's normal and actually best for the price would be for us to end up dropping to the futures gap. That gap is in the $117,000 area. So we're talking about dropping $2,700 from the current point. That could still happen. Obviously, on the daily chart, we're bullish. The MACD is trending up, the RSI is trending up, there are no divergences anywhere, and this is going to keep rising. But that doesn't mean that in the short term, like on the 4-hour chart, we're ready to go up. Check out how that MACD looks. to still at 700 points and cross downward. It's true that it doesn't have much downward momentum, but it's not going to cross upward anytime soon either. So on the 4-hour chart, we're still bearish. Dropping to that 200 period moving average would be great. $117,300. 200 moving average, major support, futures gap. There are a lot of things in that area that could make the price drop all the way down to these levels, right? The RSI isn't saying much at this point on the 4-hour chart either, and it's simply more bearish than bullish because of the MACD right now. And on the 1-hour chart for Bitcoin, what are we looking at? So look here at the moment when Bitcoin started to go up around 2 in the afternoon, which is when the CPI data was released. Ever since the CPI data came out, both Bitcoin and cryptos in general, especially altcoins, have been going up like crazy a lot. And well, for now, we're still bullish. The FOMO from the inflation data we've had will die down a bit, and Bitcoin should pull back again to the area of $117,300 or $117,000. In any case, for now, what we're seeing is simply a big drop from 123 to 118, a recovery, just a bounce to keep falling. And that's going to be the case as long as we stay below $118,800. So yes, Bitcoin could keep going up a little more, but as long as we're below the 0.68 Fibonacci level, for now, this is just a drop or a rise that's just going to lead to another fall. So pay close attention because we're waiting for that futures gap. We're waiting for all of this, and we're facing major resistances. So let's not fall into FOMO. Obviously, this is the most likely scenario, but the opposite could also happen. If Bitcoin manages to recover the 121,400 zone, at that point I would expect new all-time highs to be imminent, but for now that's not the case. For now, we're still below the resistances, below the Fibonacci golden pocket, and we still have that futures gap below. Therefore, the most likely scenario is to have that last drop to 117, and from there to finally start going up because all the macro data, and in this case, are bullish because the whole market is bullish. There's a lot of FOMO for sure, but it's all behind the scenes. So, first it would be good to liquidate from behind, close that gap, and then be ready. And like I said, this is basically the analysis we have for Bitcoin. Let's move straight to the altcoins in today's video. Today, basically, I want you to see a general analysis of the altcoins, okay? We've already done a couple of analyses like this in the videos. You already know that I'm making a daily video about altcoin analysis. Yesterday I uploaded Ethereum, today I uploaded Ripple, and well, tomorrow I'll upload another altcoin that's available on the market, one that you guys have mentioned in the comments. In any case, look, Bitcoin is only up 1% today. But how are the altcoins doing? Ether is up 6, Cardano is up 7, OM is up 4. Even OM is going up, right? YNA is up 2, Solana is up 6, Ripple is up 3, Radium is up 4. Everything is going up, and everything is going up way more than Bitcoin, right? Look at Ether, how it's doing on both the 4-hour and daily charts. It hasn't stopped rising since 3,300, where we opened the cycle long. What we have open here in Ether is absolutely insane. Cardano, same story. We're practically at new highs. Solana keeps going up. Ripple, everything is going up. So what's going down? Bitcoin dominance, the dominance of Bitcoin. At this point, look at what we've had, right? We already talked about it. We had a big drop in Bitcoin dominance while Bitcoin was bullish. This is the mini alt season. Then we've been forming a bear flag, which is basically an upward channel after a big rally. This is clearly a bear flag. And basically, look at how it broke downwards. Tried to retest, but didn't even make it back to the channel, and now it's dropping again. As soon as Bitcoin dominance drops below 59.67, right here you'll get the final confirmation of the channel break, and basically we'd head straight for the breakout target. The target for this breakout is a very important level because basically, if you consider this a bear flag like I do, it's basically repeating the previous move. You have a downward move from 64 to 60%, so that's a 4% drop. Alright, so when this channel breaks, at this point, dominance should drop to 57%. That's a pretty significant drop in dominance, and like I said, this usually comes along with major pumps in altcoins. Especially, obviously, if Bitcoin stays pretty bullish. And in this case, remember that Bitcoin dominance is coming from a falling wedge. Well, in this case, a rising wedge, right? What would be an ascending wedge? And this kind of ascending wedge usually, pay attention, goes all the way back to the point where the wedge started. I mean, Bitcoin dominance is heading toward 40%, okay? Keep in mind that we've seen good gains in altcoins since around June 2025, the end of June 2025. How much have altcoins gone up? A ton, right? But we've only experienced a 15%. No, not 15. What's 15? A 5% of drop in dominance. 5%. So think about it, we still have to see dominance go from 60 to 40. That means there's another 20% drop in dominance left. Just imagine what could happen with the altcoins. How much have altcoins gone up? This is like a rule of 3, right? How much have altcoins gone up with a 5% drop in dominance? Ether, for example, went up 25% in a week. Okay, so if instead of dropping 5, we have to drop another 20, that is 4 times more than what we've dropped so far. We've dropped 5, there's still 20 more to go. Okay, if there are 20 more to go, how much does Ether have to go up? Another 100%. You get it, right? With this rule of 3, if technical analysis holds true, then yes, in the short term, we're expecting drops to the 57% zone. Okay, that's because of the bear flag. But if we look at the weekly chart and see what's going to happen over the next few months, we can see that if there are drops in dominance like there were in 2021 or in 2017, every time Bitcoin has hit all-time highs after a bear market, shortly after, within a few months, we've had this alt season. So what's going to happen to the altcoins when dominance drops by 20%? I'll just leave it there, okay? So we're already seeing the altcoins pretty strong, and we're probably going to see them get even stronger. We haven't seen this much excitement, or the chart hasn't shown this much eagerness for an alt season in years. Since, like I said, I repeat, since 2021, more than 4 years ago. Every cycle, the same thing happens, okay? So, well, there you have it, and you can see a bit of the potential behind all this, why I'm making these cycle analysis videos and basically analyses of what will happen after the alt season and the target prices we might find for many of these coins. You can clearly see it with all of this. So, well, I'll wrap up the video here. I'm not analyzing any specific altcoin because obviously what I'm doing now doesn't mean that in the short term, it doesn't mean that on the 1-hour chart we couldn't have some bullish divergence. It doesn't mean that we might just be hitting resistance, that Bitcoin has to drop to 117, that altcoins might crash maybe 3-5%. It could easily happen. But what I'm telling you here on the weekly chart is something that's going to take months, and basically these are long-term moves. But anyway, there you have a bit of a clearer idea of what to truly expect in the market, and I emphatically repeat what I've consistently been saying in all the recent videos. Absolutely do not go trying to short Ether or short any other cryptocurrency, I don't know where, because fundamentally you are going directly against the predominant main trend, and it is abundantly clear that the entire market is currently experiencing a significant period of growth and is overwhelmingly green. So you wait for the pullbacks like we've had, like the ones we had this morning. This morning we had some drops, and a lot of people took advantage to look for new longs. If Bitcoin drops to 117, altcoins will be cheaper, so that's also a good time to look for new longs. That's basically it. Okay? So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one. Goodbye. See you soon. Bye-bye.